what it might be saying is true freedom comes when we surrender all our feelings and dependency and everything to higher power. Ask higher power to remove all of our something along those lines.
That's definitely one way that people think about this.
Okay.
We would do is see when we become aware of what we're doing, what happens is it's paradoxical. When I own that I'm emotionally dependent on you, I start to become less dependent. It's like the first step. When I say I'm powerless, I can start to discover a power. So there's a paradox to change, and that's what Bill is doing here. If we own the fact that I'm making a demand on you that's based on my unhealthy dependence, and I see what I'm doing as a demand, then I can unhook you from expecting you to do what I think you need to do for me to be okay. And then what I realize when I'm unhooking you is I don't need you to change for me to be okay. I need to change for me to be okay. That's where the freedom comes in. Now, if God helps us with that, that's wonderful. We can use all the help we can get, right? Because sometimes it's very hard for us to see what we're doing, and it's very hard to own it. That's why Bill said that humility is so important in this whole process, so that I can admit when I'm wrong. I can admit when I'm being unreasonable about my expectations about how you're supposed to behave. That's where freedom comes. That make sense to you? Good. I'm glad I'm making sense to somebody today. Thank you very much for helping us out tonight. Well, we are continuing our discussion on the 12th insight from my book, 12 Essential Insights for Emotional Sobriety. That's about holding on to ourselves in relationships. Um, we've been discussing this for several weeks, and we're probably going to be continuing on with this for a few more weeks. But tonight, I'm going to try to be more practical. I'm going to try to talk to you about what to do when you are either finding yourself communicating in a way that is not helpful, that is throwing gasoline on fire, um, or how to respond to de-escalate and hold on to yourself when someone else is challenging you in a way that's creating some tension and anxiety. So let me start this, and Julie and Kim are going to join me in a minute here. But I think we all know it's very easy to maintain a we, our togetherness, right? That's what I'm using it synonymously with we. It's easy to maintain the we in a relationship when everything is going the way we'd like it to, when we're in sync, right? When we're in rhythm with each other. But the real metal of a relationship and also the measure of our emotional maturity is how we cope with the tension that will surface in relationships, that always surfaces is. Trouble will always exist in every relationship. We will never be perfectly in sync all the time. In fact, the research says a very interesting thing is that the expectation a lot of people have is when they're in a relationship that we should be in sync most of the time. Well, that's not what we found. What we found when people, and there's actually been studies about this, is that we are in sync only 1/3 of the time in a relationship. Another third of the time, we are out of sync with our partner, trying to get back into sync. And the final third, we're just out of sync. So depending on the way you look at things, is 2/3 of the time we're in sync or trying to get back in sync, and a third of the time we're not, or 2/3 of the time we're out of sync, and a third of the time we are. So the expectation that we should be in sync all the time is really one of those, you know, unreasonable expectations about relationships, which there are many myths and unreasonable expectations that have been spawned in our hearts and our minds and in our culture and in our society. And that's one of them. So, what mediates our response to difficulty in a relationship, to tension, to struggle? And I think that this is very important because how you respond, and you've heard me say this many times, that the problem is never the problem. The problem is not what somebody is saying to you. The problem is how you respond, whether you can respond in a way that helps you maintain your wholeness, that helps you keep a hold of yourself. You see, it's very important to note that to feel whole, right? To feel internally united is a generic human need. In fact, I like to think of it as a biological and psychological imperative, right? To feel internally united. And it's also a measure of good functioning because good functioning will always lead you to this feeling of wholeness. So, what happens when we're interacting with someone if things don't go well? What does that reflect? Well, my level of maturity is going to determine how I respond to being challenged or to the trouble I have in my relationship. And that's why I say trouble doesn't mean something's wrong in a relationship. It's really it always happens in a relationship, and if you look at it the right way, trouble will be a great way of you getting feedback about where your level of maturity is at. If my maturity is low, and you've heard me use this phrase before, if my sense of self, my individuation, my differentiation is not well developed, right? Then when I'm confronted in a situation, my first response is going to blame. I'm going to say, whose fault is this? It's your fault, or I'm going to blame myself, or I'm going to blame someone else. If that's your first response, pay attention to that. If you approach a problem with black and white thinking, and that's where blame comes from, you caused this problem, this person caused this problem. Well, a problem's not a problem. A problem's a problem if you don't know how to deal with it. And so if I don't know how to deal with a problem, that's what's really creating the problem, not what just happened or the event. If I confuse my feelings and thoughts when I'm dealing with a situation, if I say things to you like you made me feel this way, or you made me feel, or that made me feel this way, that's not a feeling. That is a thought. And I can communicate much more effectively if I'm able to separate out my thoughts from my feelings. A real big problem in my immaturity is making everything about me. Me. As our good friend Herb Kagan likes to say, we sometimes believe we're the center of the universe instead of understanding we're just the center of our universe. Our culture promotes this all about me mentality, this sense of personal importance. I think Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements does such a great job talking about, how pandemic that really is. And if I make everything about me when we're interacting, then I'm going to be very, very much reactive to what's going on. Because what that's going to do is that's going to generate some anxiety. Now, what is anxiety? Anxiety is a perceived threat to our existence, to our wholeness. So if I'm thinking you don't like me, I start to get anxious because if I'm dependent on you and you don't like me, it means I'm a nothing, that I'm going to disappear. Anxiety can show up in a couple different ways. In a relationship, if I'm undifferentiated, I can be afraid of being controlled by someone. We call that engulfment anxiety. I'm afraid of losing myself because you're going to control me and I'm going to lose a sense of who I am. The other anxiety that's much more common that people talk about is abandonment anxiety. That if you don't love me, then I don't exist. But in both cases, the underlying anxiety is a threat to our existence. When we're undifferentiated, when our emotional maturity is low, we are either going to underreact or overreact to the situation. And let's say you're sitting around the breakfast table and somebody spills the milk, and mom runs in and say, "Oh my God, who spilt the milk?" As though the worst thing in the world just happened. If mom was centered and balanced, she'd walk and says, "Oh, somebody spilled the milk. Let's get a rag and clean it up. No big thing. Everybody makes a mistake." That's an overreaction. An underreaction is something happens that's painful to you in a relationship, and you ignore it and you don't address it and you walk away. So when we are emotionally immature, we're either going to make mountains into molehills or we're going to turn molehills into mountains. This is why Bill emphasized the importance of balance and that emotional sobriety has to do with humility and balance, real maturity and balance in our life. Real maturity creates a balance. I respond to this situation in a way that's appropriate to the reality of that situation. Nothing more or nothing less. That I am completely dealing with what is. Now, as we start to work on this emotional sobriety, we become more differentiated. As we become more differentiated, blame is irrelevant. We're not interested in whose fault it is. We're interested in understanding what's happening between us and trying to figure out how to deal with that in a better way. So the focus is on coping with the situation, not blaming a person. Now, let's look at, and also a well-differentiated person doesn't get lost in the conflict. They keep a sense of themselves. So one of the things that I'm going to be talking about tonight is that when there's trouble, we need to learn how to add more of ourselves, not subtract ourselves from a situation. So that's the guiding, the true north for us tonight, right? When there's trouble, we're going to add more self and not lose more self. So to help me demonstrate that tonight, I'm going to invite Kim and Julie into the room with me. Look at the Wilson houses here. Look at that, Kim. You're sitting out in front of the Wilson house.
It's beautiful here.
Hmm.
It's so beautiful here. Thank you for having me be your guinea pig.
Yeah,
And
same.
I have two guinea pigs tonight.
yes, and actually, can I mention to your folks that Alan's going to be in Vermont at the Wilson House in April, April 4th through 6th, and we have plenty of room. So if you've been looking for a deep dive in emotional sobriety and you'd like to do so at the birthplace of Bill Wilson in beautiful southern Vermont, please, yay, Sharon or Sharon. Um, yeah, please click on the link in the chat and take a look.
Yeah. And I will say this, Kim, since you've taken over and directing the Wilson House, the atmosphere there is really incredible, everyone. It is so warm and welcoming. And Kim, you and the staff just do a remarkable job at creating a wonderful atmosphere for us to learn.
Thank you. The food is really
It's good.
delicious and yeah, it's always fun and it's great to have you there, Alan. There's so much energy when you're there.
And it's one of the less expensive weekends that you can spend around. I mean, it's really an incredible deal. So thank you for all that you do for all of us in recovery, Kim. Thanks a lot. Thanks for helping me tonight. I hope you two don't hate me at the end of this. I'm anxious that I'm going to be abandoned already. Oh my.
There we
So
go.
what we're going to do is we're going to go through some typical ways that people respond to problems in a relationship. So, um, what would you guys say? So let's say that, we're living together and I walk in the kitchen and you are busy this morning, you're getting ready for work and you happen to leave the milk out. And it's a pet peeve of mine that drives me crazy if the milk is left out, right? Especially if you didn't put the top back on the milk and
Yeah.
left it out in addition to it. And I walk in there and you're in there and you're hustling around to get out the door. And I say to you, why did you leave the milk out? How do you respond to me? Now, try to do it. You get to do it two ways. One in the worst possible way where you don't have to be a mature self at all. You can be immature and say whatever you want to say to me. And then one where you try to be a little more thoughtful about it. All
Yeah,
right.
this is fun.
Julia first.
Uh,
Julia. Julia,
Well,
why did you leave the milk out? Again, how many times have I said this to you?
well, you left all the cups and the dishes out, and you know what? I had to put those away first thing this morning, and I don't have a lot of time left. So you can deal with the milk.
All right, Kim, your turn. Kim, come on now. I've told you this. How many times did I tell you? Why did you leave the milk out?
Why do you care? Why are you so worried about all the little stuff? What does it matter? Why are you so hung up on stuff like this? Why are you so wound up?
Oh my God.
You can't tell me what to do.
Here we go. I think I'm going to leave this meeting tonight. I'm just getting a little, I'm starting to sweat over here. Oh my God. All right. So now, was that a healthy response or an unhealthy one? No, no.
Hey,
Let's do round two now. The same thing. Julia, why did you leave that milk out?
Larry. Oh, you know what? I didn't even realize I did. I'm kind of in a hurry this morning and I just overlooked it. You know what? I'll put it away right now and I'll try to be more aware of it in the future. I know it's important to you.
All right, Kim, your turn. Why did you leave the milk out?
I don't know. I'm sorry I didn't notice. Here, I'll put it away. Give us a kiss. Bye.
Right. Now, you guys asked me, why did you leave the milk out?
Say, do you want the same? Okay,
Yeah,
Julia.
you guys, now we're going to flip roles. I'm going to be the milk lever outer, and you're going to go ahead and ask me.
Okay. Alan, why did you leave the milk out again? We've talked about this a million times. The cap is off. What's going on?
All right, so here's an overreaction. You never pass up an opportunity to point out how wrong I am. When are you going to give me a goddamn break? Is this what I got to live with the rest of my friggin' life?
Wow.
You
Ouch.
see, that's a bit
Yeah.
of a reaction, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would say no, not exactly, because we're not going there.
No, we're not gonna. No, tomorrow I'm seeing a lawyer. I'm out of here. Right. That's right. But now you do it, and I'm going to do it in a healthy way, Kim. You do it. Why did you make?
Ellen, wake up. Why is the milk out? What are you doing? You know this drives me crazy. I cannot stand this. You are not paying attention. Why do you do this to me?
I do forget that how important it is to you. And this morning, you're right. I was so distracted and I forgot about you for a few minutes. And I'm sorry about that. Would you do me a favor? I'm in a bit of a rush. Would you mind putting it away for me today?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
You divorce me now? No, we got
No.
another
Okay.
day. We got another chance.
Okay, we'll try. We'll keep
I'll
going.
try.
Yeah.
But you see
That
what
was
I did,
very, you disarmed me.
Mm-hmm.
both of you. See when I respond that way, I'm adding more of myself to the conversation.
Yeah.
Can you see it? Can you see where I'm adding more of myself?
Yeah.
See, what I'm doing is I'm trying to bring myself to the conversation in a way that acknowledges you,
Yeah.
that doesn't let what you're saying diminish me. It's okay that you're upset with me. I don't have to prove to you that I'm a good boy. You see, I don't need to establish that and now get into a quibble with you to try to prove that I'm not this terrible person that you should love me. And I do that by trying to make you wrong instead of you making me wrong. I mean, just think about how crazy that is, what I just said for a minute. is that I try to convince you I'm a good boy by telling you how wrong you are. So that, I mean, it's so absurd, these things we do to deal with these situations. And if I don't have to prove I'm a good person to you, I don't get anxious about that I made a mistake and I did something to you that you is important to you. And I can acknowledge that. And I can also acknowledge that even though you're important to me, I'm not going to be thinking about you all the time.
Mhm.
But I am going to be that I'm still going to let you know how important you are to me, but I'm not going to put the expectation on myself that I have to be everything to you all the time to still be a good partner to you.
Yes, and you denied the request in a very disarming way also, right? And said, "Can you put it away for me just today?"
God,
Yeah.
it would mean the world to me, honey. Would you mind? I'm rushed. I know it. Tomorrow I'll be much more thoughtful about it, I hope. But we'll see. Tomorrow will tell us. Would you do it today? You see, I can do that. And now I'm dealing with, I'm walking away from that feeling whole. You're not diminished by what I've said to you. I'm not putting you down to be right. I'm not quibbling with you who's right and who's wrong. That's irrelevant, right? The issue is you're disappointed, and I want to deal with that in a way that keeps our connection strong, even though there's tension between us. Wow. I hope I can remember this.
Well, we have it recorded. So
We have it recorded. I'll be able to go back and listen to myself and learn something. My God, that would be good. Julia, why didn't you return my call today?
am I doing the healthy way or not?
What you get to choose. You want to do it, try a healthy way. Let's try a healthy way. Now
Let's
that
try.
I demonstrated that.
Okay.
Julia, why didn't you turn my call today?
You're right. You know what? You did call earlier today. And I did want to connect with you, and I was working really hard to try to finish this report for work. And I haven't had a chance to call you yet. But I do want to connect. And I'm glad you called me back. What's up?
Wow, you're a quick learner.
That was pro. That was pro. Can I say
That,
something about what she just said?
yes.
I've been trying not to apologize all the time, right? When people accuse me of something. And I think that was expert what you just did, Julia, because you didn't shirk responsibility, but you also didn't like act like a doormat. You didn't say, I'm sorry, I should have. Well, lately, if I'm not getting back to somebody fast enough, instead of saying, I'm so sorry for the delay, I say, thank you for your patience.
Mm, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for your patience. And I loved how you ended that with, what's up? Like, nice to connect with you. What's up? That was
Mm.
good.
Well, it's so much easier to do it here, where it's just, Milk and Ellen, and it's harder in that relationship.
I won't let that diminish me in any way that it's milk. That was funny. That was good. You want to try a version of that, Kim? Why didn't you why didn't you return my call? Or what did I say? Hold on. Yeah, why didn't you return my call today? I was trying to get in touch with you.
I've been really busy today. I didn't have time to call you, so I'm glad you called me back. And it's really nice to hear from you. What did you need? Let's chat. I can talk to you now.
All right, why don't you do it to me?
Bingo. Alan, this is the second time I've called you. Why didn't you call me? I called you at 2 o'clock today, and I've been waiting.
It's so wonderful to hear how important I am to you. I
Wow.
just I just melt when you get upset when you don't make contact with me. And I'm so glad to hear your voice right now. What's up, honey?
Good.
You see what I just did?
Yeah. It's staying
I
calm and you're connecting.
and I'm reaching beyond your frustration.
Yeah.
I really want everybody to hear what I just said. See, when I reach beyond your frustration to what's really behind it, and I see you, That's what creates the connection, the empathy I have. Obviously, I'm important to you. You wouldn't care if I returned your call or not. If I wasn't important, it wouldn't matter.
That's
And what
really
we hear is,
powerful.
oh my God, I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Please don't get mad at me. Instead of, wow, I'm that important to you. God, honey, I forget that sometimes. It's so good to see you upset with me about that. I love it. I hope you can get upset with me more because I can really feel your love for me.
Yeah. Can
But
I
you
ask a
see,
question about that? What if the, initial, you're calling me or talking about the milk, what if that's really aggressive or rude? What if you say something that's really hurtful?
you are such
Address
an
that
idiot
also.
that you left the milk out again. How about that one?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
are such an idiot that you left that milk out. So do that to me.
Yeah. Okay. Alan, you are such an nincompoop. Like, this is the fifth time you've left the milk out. Like, are you stupid or something?
Wow. Can you love a guy that's stupid, honey? Can you? Can you still love me? I am stupid sometimes. Can
Hmm.
you still love me? I am a nincompoop sometimes. Can you still love me? I hope so, because I love you. It would kill me
Hmm.
if you did.
Hmm.
What did that do to you? It
Oh,
deflated it.
completely disarming. Yeah. Huh.
Totally.
I've never thought of it that way. I've always felt the need to like set a boundary and
I
say,
am setting the
God, I
boundary.
hear what you're saying. I hear you're really frustrated. And also, you don't get to talk to me like that.
Yeah, of course.
That's
But you
never
see,
okay.
that's me
Yeah.
protecting myself.
Yeah.
That's me protecting myself. See, is the one of the important things of holding on to myself is my need not to protect myself. See,
Hmm.
I don't have to prove to you I'm a good person or that I'm not a bad person. If my self-esteem is low, then every time I'm interacting, there's so much at stake. I'm so anxious about what's going to happen between us.
Hmm. Thank you. That's very helpful.
All right, we'll do. So that's one form. So why questions in general, if I'm the communicator and I'm saying why to you, I'm really not being straight with you. And see, that's the other thing is that in general, if I'm working with a couple, I really, in fact, I would challenge everyone that's listening to us tonight, all 122 of you, is try for the next week to not ask why to anyone. Get rid of your why questions for the week and convert your why question into a statement. So if I said to you, Julie, I'd really like you to put the milk away. What a difference, right? And you could say to me, I'm too busy this morning, honey. Would you mind doing it for me? It would mean a lot to me. Do you see how it changes? That the why
Yeah.
has is
Not
so
helpful at
loaded,
that point. Yeah.
is so loaded with shame and put down and diminishing a person. You're a stupid is what why is saying. Why did you do that? How stupid could you be? And then we wonder how come our interactions create so much defensiveness. So if we dump the why and I make a statement, I'd really like you to put the milk away. Do you have time to do it? No, I don't. Would you mind, honey? Yes, of course, babe. I love you. So I can make statements. I can make statements, everything. Instead of why didn't you return my phone call? How would we turn that around?
Hey, I really need to talk to you.
I really wanted to talk to you today. Are you free right now?
Hmm.
Not why didn't you return my call? I'm so glad we talked. I've really been wanting to talk to you today. What if it was, why didn't you let me know what you were doing after work? How would we turn that into a statement?
Um, hey, I wanted to see you tonight, and I was wondering where you were after work. Do you have time to get together? What are you up to tonight?
Okay. You want to try one, Kim? To convert that one into a statement.
She's so good at it. I can't
She's-
give me a new one. Give me a new one.
I'll give you a new one. Okay. Why don't you ever spend time with me?
Wow.
So I say that to you, but without making it a why statement.
Yeah, turn it into a statement.
I'm noticing that we're not spending enough time together. For me, it's not enough time. I would love to spend more time with you. I don't see you enough. What would you make time for me?
Mhm.
I'd like to see you more.
I'd
See,
like to see you more. Yeah.
that's it. I'd like to see you more. But you see, when you communicate to me that way, you're now exposing what you want. And a lot of times we don't do that because it feels like there's more risk involved in terms of being rejected. What if I say, I don't want to spend time with you? That can hurt. Like the face you made, like, oh God, I don't want to hear that. Please don't say something like that. But oftentimes what really happens is that we're able to talk at a much healthier level when I turn these things into statements. Another example. Why do you talk to me like that? If somebody's talking to you in a way that you don't like being talked to, right? So how would you turn that into a statement?
I don't like it when you call me stupid.
There, that's straight.
I want you to talk to me with more respect because I love you and that's how I talk to you.
Kim, you want to try that one? Why do you talk to me like that? Turn that into a statement.
This conversation isn't working for me. Something about this communication isn't working. It's not clear what's happening here. Um, I'd I'd like to take a break and start over.
Mhm.
I might say something like, God, I really want to stay connected to you, and I really struggle. When you're upset and you start to talk to me in that way, I lose my ability to stay in contact with you. I wonder if you could find some way to be a little softer with me right now.
Hmm.
Is I wonder the same as why? No.
No, it's more, or I'd like you to find a way to be softer with me right now. That would mean a lot to me. That would even be better, Kim. You're right. Let's get rid of the wonder. I'd like you to find a way to be softer with me. I want to be connected to you right now, and I'm having a hard time. This brings up a lot of stuff for me. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I want to stay connected in a way, and I'm trying to talk about what I need in that connection. Why don't you ever apologize when you're wrong? Julia, you're sending text to your husband, aren't you?
No, I'm taking notes on the last thing that you said exactly. Because the thing I struggle most with is my stepdaughter, actually. And I've been actually writing down things I can say in the moment. Like, I want you to stop doing that. Um, and I was writing
I,
down
I was
what you
teasing
said.
you. I'm glad you're doing that. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
But why don't you ever apologize when you're wrong? See, that comes up a lot of times. I see people say that in the couples work I do. She just won't ever apologize. Why don't you ever apologize to me when you're wrong?
Yeah.
So if
Everybody makes mistakes and it's okay to own it when you do something wrong. And I'd like you to take responsibility for, you know, for when you, yeah, for whatever. I don't know how to finish that sentence. But I'd like you to
well,
take
but
responsibility.
you're right.
I'm not mad, but and
Yeah,
like I want you to take responsibility. Things work better when we both do.
Hey,
you want to
Alan,
try
can I jump in? I think I have something for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think I would feel more seen and valued if you owned up to your part of the relationship and when we get off track.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. I was thinking it's so hard to do these, by the way, without bringing your own like actual relationships in and like relitigating my marriage, you know?
Right, that's right there. We can relitigate it. Let's do it, Kim.
But I'm thinking, I'm thinking about saying something like, "It takes two to tango." I'm sure, just objectively, that both of us do things that we should apologize for, and that we're probably not proud of. And I'm sorry about X, and I'm sorry that I act like this. And I think that we both need to own our part, because it's not possible that it's always my fault. It's just not possible.
Well, you guys are you're getting warm. Like if this, that game, you're warm, you're cold, you're cold, you're cold, you're warm, you're warm. You're all getting a little warmer. Listen to my response.
Okay.
Trust me, I get a lot of practice at this, right? I've probably done this with thousands of couples, right? In terms of trying to help them talk. So, and also in my own personal life. So what I would say to address this, if this is going on with me and my partner, I'd say, I must have failed to let you know that you don't have to be perfect for me to love you. I see how much you struggle when something goes wrong and how hard it is for you to be able to own that. And I'm sorry that I've failed to let you know that we're solid, whether you're making a mistake or not. I love you. And for me, I don't expect that you're going to always do things well. I mean, I sure don't. I know that. I do a lot of things that are hurtful at times and dumb and all those other things. And I just want to find a better way to communicate to you that you're okay with me no matter what. You see, what I'm doing is I'm taking responsibility for the climate that I'm contributing to create. See, everything in a relationship is bilaterally determined. And we've learned that. It makes no sense to blame one person or the other if something's going on in a relationship, because I have a hand in your success, you have a hand in mine, I have a hand in your failure, you have a hand in mine. So it doesn't make sense to blame either one of us. Even to the point where Byron Katie said this beautiful thing when she was talking about relationships. She says, it only takes one clear person to have a better relationship. See, there's so much wisdom in that, because while everything is created bilaterally between us, change occurs unilaterally. I'm
One
going to,
person changes and the dynamic shifts.
you see what I did every time when you say you disarmed me. I didn't expect you to change to make things better. I changed the way I met you. And when I changed the way I met you, we had a different experience. If there's one thing I could teach people, it would be that, is to understand, like let's say you're in a relationship with me, Kim, and you're lying to me about something. I can look at you and say, you're a liar, right? And get into this whole thing, you should be honest. Or I could say, I've really made it hard for you to be honest with me, and I want to clean that up, honey. I am so sorry that I put that wall up in our relationship. What do I do that makes it hard for you to tell me the truth? You see what I've just done?
Yeah.
I see this happen with parents and kids all the time. They get upset with kids that are lying to them. But it isn't the kids that's fault that's happening. The parents have created an atmosphere in the family that makes it hard for the kids to be honest. And if the parents really look closely at this, they're going to see that their child is really cooperating with them, and that their child is behaving in a way that they've learned, and now they're being criticized for. That's for another talk at another time. But this was great. Let's bring Tom in to have him join us and see if he wants to do any quick marital counseling in case I'm going to get divorce papers tomorrow. Tom, where are you?
Here.
Hi,
Hey.
Tom.
Eh,
Hi, Tom.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a pattern that my wife and I have, which is she will say, "Why did you do this?" Right? And it's usually something got messed up. And my response typically is, "You say that like I intended to fail, like I intended to break this thing or mess it. There's no, and I, it's the right, I don't say, it's a good reframing, but it's still not, it doesn't get to where you were talking. It's like
That's
she's asking the why, and I'm throwing it back at like,
Yeah, see, it's falling short, and that's why I'm
yeah,
saying you guys are all warm. You're close. You're
yeah,
close. But listen, the reason that I'm doing this is I never learned this stuff until I was with Dr. Kempler. And Dr. Kempler was a pioneer in family therapy, and I spent over 20 years working with him. And I learned so much about how to really talk to people in a way that most accurately reflects what I'm experiencing and enhances the encounter I'm having with you. I've talked about that in previous things, is that I want to bring my awareness to my interactions and hold myself up to the standard of I want to be with you in a way that we're going to walk away feeling whole, both of us, right? That I want to enhance our encounter and not diminish it.
Right.
I jump in for 1 second? It sounds like what Tom was describing is like a neutralizing approach. Like you're doing this, so I'm going to do this, and we're going to match each other, and I'm going to neutralize any negativity of it that you have put out there by your assertion that I would do this thing to fail or whatever. And your approach, Alan, is as I'm hearing it, is not to neutralize it. You're not just, preventing further harm. You're actually, and you gestured when you first described this, you're reaching past it, you're reaching in, and you're not warm. You're actually like going through the tension or the resistance to not just neutralize, but actually mitigate or reverse the whole thing. It's like it doesn't just stop it, it like reverses it.
Yeah, it opens the connection. I noticed you smile and you lean forward and you're just relaxed.
yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Now if I could just
Now let's all do that
have a
at home in all our
relationship, I
relationships.
could
No problem,
practice
right?
these things.
If it was that easy, huh?
Yeah.
Only that easy.
You've been only at this for 50 years, right? Your professional training and experience.
Yeah, follow me around. Kim does sometimes. I wish I could do this stuff. And I've gotten a lot better at it. I will say this, that awareness really helps a lot. And also getting an idea, seeing what the possibility was. Dr. Kempler was so great at saying, look, our greatest problem is our ignorance. And it wasn't a put down. It was just said, we don't know what we don't know. How can I expect myself to talk to you in a way that was better than what I saw my parents do? If
Right.
there's never been anybody that set an example of what a healthy communication looks like. How do I in any way expect myself to achieve that when I've got no idea what the heck it looks like? And when a couple struggles, I loved what he would do this because it was so, in one way, putting them on the same page. He says the problem you guys are having is not that you guys aren't great people and stuff, but you never learned and you never had anybody in your family teach you how to deal with this situation you're having in a better way. So let's get on with trying to learn how to do it better. It's not approach that is based on faulting or blaming. It's an approach that's based on becoming. And I want to emphasize that really strong is that this is all about what we can be, not what we're not.
It's very hopeful, and to know that it's possible, for all of us.
Mhm.
Um,
It requires me to stop scorekeeping and to be vulnerable.
yeah.
One of the things when I hear Tom
Mhm.
talk about his relationship with Dee Dee, they do this very well. Tom and Dee Dee, when he's talking about, and they
You
do,
think?
there's many things that when Dee Dee comes in and talks to you and she reaches
Mhm.
beyond the issue
Yeah.
into the real thing that's going on, and she doesn't get into faulting or blaming.
No, she's like a mature person.
Yeah, I
Go
know.
figure. It's like, yeah, it's, I mean, one of the main things that I'm watching you guys do that, one of the main things is it's about responding, not reacting, and it's about slowing down. I mean, one of the things I teach people all the time is slow the damn conversation down,
Mhm.
because once you start getting hit, once you start getting punched, if you feel something on that, you're going to go fast, and and you're always going to get in trouble that way. I also wrote some notes like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And the response is, "How much time do you have?" And yeah, so it's no, but I think that the most important thing that, in my opinion, because one size doesn't fit all. I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, you know your own relationships, and you'll have a version of any of this stuff, the concept that'll work for that person. But the main thing is just not reacting. It's like, just, it's okay, it's what I was telling the client today. You got to remember that most things don't matter.
Mm.
They just don't. We make everything. And she said, "Well, why do I act like? Why do I think everything matters?" I go, like, "Well, that's the problem. It's like I don't mean to be apathetic about stuff. But it's just like, one of the things I've learned about all this stuff, because I was such a fucking control freak, that over time I've just learned that basically I don't want to engage in any of that stuff. It's a waste of time. So yeah, the ways you guys are doing a good job of getting out of it is just basically you're just diffusing the dangerous part of the conversation and getting on about your day. And you know, hell, it doesn't matter if somebody has to go get more milk before the end of the day. Just go get the damn milk. You know.
Well, that's once again, it's not overreacting or underreacting to the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
You're talking about a healthy response, which is balanced and it's appropriate to the situation. And you're right, Tom.
And I'm also talking about not taking things personally.
Oh my God.
It,
See that comes in. I mean, that's a big part of
Well,
why.
it's really, I mean, think about that. That's really hard when the person is talking to you about you. Okay. But the principle is still the same. Don't take it personally.
Yeah,
It's like, because that'll get you in trouble every time.
so there's a lot of great comments in the chat. I'm going to ask Tom to capture those, Tom, would you, before we end tonight?
Yeah.
And then
Capture them.
when I start talking next time, I want to answer some of those because some of these things require, I think, a response or a response to them would be great. Now, there's a few people that have just joined this meeting, and some of you may not have gotten the memo that the meeting time has changed. We start an hour earlier. So we start at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, not 10 p.m. Because quite frankly, Dr. Berger is getting old and 10 o'clock is a little too late for his. It's past his bedtime.
Mhm.
So I need some warm milk
Mhm.
and a cookie, and then I'm gonna go to bed.
Don't forget to put it away.
That's so good. I know. I'm gonna hear it tonight. Alan, why didn't you put the milk away after you had cookies and milk last night?
That's good. Yeah.
How many times do I have to tell you that? That was good.
Why?
Okay, you guys.
Why?
That was great, you guys. Thank you. We'll continue this on next week.
Yeah, that was
Kim, can you be here next week?
Yeah.
Great. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. That was just the first section. I got all kinds of
Oh
sections.
my gosh.
Mm.
All right, you guys.
What are we gonna
All right,
fight
Tom.
about next? What are we gonna fight about next week, Alan?
Oh, we got some good stuff coming up. This was the low-hanging fruit, by the way. It's
Mhm.
getting tougher from this point on. This was like This is easy stuff tonight. We're going to get into some nitty-gritty stuff.